The NBA offseason is here. This is your guide to keeping up with everything, all the free agent signings, trades, whatever your team's doing. This is the place to get it. Welcome back to the Casual Observer. I'm your host, Daniel. Let's recap. Biggest trades so far have been, we've talked about them. Randall to Brooklyn. There's a bit of a salary dump. We all said, what the hell? We get it, but what the hell? And that unfolded into a Lamelo Ball trade. We'll get into that. Of course, got to recap the Giannis trade. So far, Milwaukee haven't moved on from any of the players they acquired from the Heat. The Heat haven't done too much in free agency so far. We will, again, get into that as we go on. Some of the things I think we missed. The Pistons sent Isaiah Stewart to the Grizzlies for 3 second-round picks. That's a salary dump as well. And look, we'll go through the offseason. Some of our chats will be, regular season versus off-season players. Isaiah Stewart seemed very much a regular season player, as did Duran, as does half the players around the league. But that was a bit of a salary. I'm still waiting to see what the Pistons are going to do. They've got Duran on the books that they're not really sure what his worth is. I think what the reported was 5 years, 150. He said that's offensive. I think that's not offensive. $30 million a year for a guy that can't play in the playoffs is pretty fair. But the Lamelo Ball trade that just rocked us. Lamelo Ball is going with Josh Green to the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves are sending out Naz Reid, 1 first-round pick, 3 first-round swaps, and 3 second-round picks. Let's break that down because that is going to be the most fun backcourt potentially in the league with Lamelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. Got the chance to be incredibly volatile. Not my problem. We're here to watch, and that is going to be some of the best shit ever. Watching Lamelo Ball not give Ant the ball while he's just dancing around will be so entertaining. But man, 30 games in the season, you've got a good idea if those two are gelling or not. But some of the funniest shit I've seen so far was the fact that they've got Gobert, Antman, and Lamelo on the same team. And it was all about the tests. So you got Rudy Gobert that failed the COVID test. You got Antman with all his paternity tests, kids to so many different people. And Lamelo Ball failing his driving test after crashing into someone. Like, man, these guys, that's the best meme I've ever seen. I did not do it justice by explaining it just then. But if we break that trade down, fan favorite Naz Reid gets moved on. Minnesota have no power forwards at the moment. So many people have been like, oh, well, McDaniels will play power forward, Josh Green and Aya Dosunmu. Nope, that's terrible. Johan Berenger, nope, terrible. You could probably get Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon Jr. some minutes, but still not great. So they need to figure out their power forward spot. The fact that Charlotte Hornets just had the best offense in the league for the last, 50, 60 games with LaMelo, and the worst without him on the floor, just shows you how much they wanted to get rid of him. As I've listened to a lot of other podcasts and understood the reasoning, because I was caught well off guard with this, they didn't believe in their culture in Charlotte, and they didn't believe it was a long-term way to play sustainably. So they built, LaMelo played 70-odd games, built up his value, and they moved him first chance they could. So the clearing of the books for Minnesota makes sense now that you've got your LaMelo. He's 6'7", he can guard when he wants to. His shot selection needs work. But, again, to have the best offense and you're the point guard, I think there's something there. So when people are saying the Wolves get a D- on this trade, what? It has the potential to be a D-, but you really didn't give up that much. 3 second-round picks, cool. The chances of drafting a Jalen Brunson or a Nikola Jokic, super low. So couldn't give less of a shit about them. The unprotected 2033, look, that could be something, but Antman and LaMelo might both still be on this team. And we don't know what the draft rules are going to be by then. This current draft system, look, already working wonders. Teams are not just dumping players every chance they get so they can get terrible. This is great. I love it. But it's only got a 3-year window so far. So 2033, have no idea what we might be seeing. Who knows? And the 3 first-round swaps basically means that Charlotte has the right to swap with Minnesota if Minnesota have a better draft pick. So 2028, 2029, and 2030. I imagine that unless the Hornets get a good point guard and a good center, the Hornets are not going to be better than the Wolves in 28. So, they're going to keep their own pick. 29, same thing, maybe 2030. So Minnesota would have to drop off a cliff for the Hornets to be ahead of Minnesota and swap picks there. So, yes, you get 2 bites at the apple in this current draft system, but I don't know. LaMelo lowers Minnesota's floor, but increases their ceiling, and it's a different way of going about, how are you going to take down the Spurs and the Thunder? And this is a different way. Everyone's loading up on size. They just dumped a bunch of size and went for a guard-heavy rotation. So it's a different way of doing it, but Tim Connolly, the GM at Minnesota, has definitely earned the right to, for us to put some trust in him. So they're completely out of assets, is Minnesota, but you've got 3 All-Stars basically between Gobert, who's been a multiple-time All-Star, Ant, and LaMelo. So, the ceiling could be amazing. The floor could also be amazing. And for Charlotte, it's a bit of a culture reset. There has been a Miles Bridges trade as well, but they are, building this around Con and Brandon Miller, and Brandon Miller. But I don't think Con's got enough firepower as a ball handler, and I think he's one of those rookies that he will continue to get better. I don't think he's Klay Thompson. I think he's going to be pretty good, but I don't think he's going to be amazing, like multiple-time All-Star. Like, he might make 1 or 2, but yeah, I think Charlotte have taken a definite step back here in the short term, but they have, I think, the second most assets now in the league. So it might be like what a lot of teams are doing, which is taking a step back, not to be terrible and irrelevant, but taking a step back so they can load up for future seasons. And they're not the only team doing that. But Kobe White got signed 3 years, $74 million, half the price of LaMelo, but also half the production. I've heard a lot of people be saying that, some of the crazy stuff like, oh, Kobe White and Lamelo Ball produce the same. No, they don't. Kobe White's a good player, but yeah, I don't think you're getting half the contract for the same value. I think he's best as a 6-man fire, scoring punch off the bench. But I don't know. I think there's more moves to come in Charlotte. And the fact that they've got Christian Anderson, who I think is probably going to be, in my personal ranks, most likely the 5th or 6th best player from this draft in the long term, and Hans Steinbach, man, the keys are there for those two. So, I think Charlotte's got to be a bit worse this season. Remember, they lost in the playing game against Orlando. So they nearly made the playoffs, but I think they're going to be a little bit worse this year. But you've got so many assets. Just wait for the right piece to shake loose and you should be good to go with the firepower to go get it. Chat that they could go get Jaylen Brown. Don't love that fit, honestly. But if you're rushing to get better, then hey, look, there's not many better players than the sixth place in the MVP player from last year. So I think my personal grade is that the Hornets get a B plus and the Minnesota Timberwolves get a B. So I think it's fairly even trade at this point. And again, if Minnesota end up winning the championship, it's going to look amazing, and Charlotte are going to look stupid. But you understand the reasoning of being like, we don't really trust LaMelo. He's many podcasters described him as a guy that looks like he's playing in front of 10,000 chicks at all times. So high ceiling, lower floor. The Thunder move Isaiah Joe to the Pistons. Basically just got 2 second rounders like they did for Aaron Wiggins. So it's just salary dumping, getting out of the tax, making sure that their books are fairly clean. They picked or re-signed, extended Isaiah Hartenstein. We'll get to that. And picking up Lou Dort's option. So they've cut another $20 million between Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. Get a bit of flexibility. You've got all these picks that you need to get playing time anyway, so you might as well get a little bit of value, but open up playing time, which is just as valuable. The Hornets' second big move, sending Miles Bridges to the Suns. Don't know what the fuck Phoenix is doing, but hey, you know what? Matt Ishbia won't say he's got a plan. He has a vision. But Charlotte Hornets send Miles Bridges, 20 2029 first-round pick of their own and a 2027 second-round pick to the Suns in order to get Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 first-round pick from the Suns. So a lot moving there. Essentially, Charlotte are getting two really good shooting role players. Add a bit of toughness and crazy with, Grayson Allen, but he was really good in Phoenix when he was healthy. Royce O'Neal's just solid. Definitely improved his three-point range, and getting Phoenix's 2033 could be amazing. But then, from the Suns' point of view, getting Miles Bridges, not a great spacer. So you really got to hope that Malawak can play next to him and shoot, because Mark Williams certainly is not. Having Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Devin Booker, I wouldn't say any of them are lasers. You've got Colin Gillespie and Jordan Goodwin, so they've got nice players on their team, but I don't think Phoenix is going anywhere. And giving up a 2033, yes, you can say you got the 2029 back, but you also took on Miles Bridges, and he's got a bit of a history of, I'll just say DV in the overhanging him from the last couple of years where he lost the whole season. So I like Miles Bridges, but I really liked him with Lamelo, who plays up and down, playing with a bit more deliberate Devin Booker, Jalen Green, who never had an assist in his life. Good luck shining there. The next big one is the Ja Morant trade to the Trailblazers. So Ja Morant basically just traded for trash. Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Keegan Murray's brother, hasn't really done much. Good size. Jeremy Grant, getting a bit old, terrible contract. Contributed a little bit in the playoffs. I don't mind it, but it's terrible value, especially when LaMelo just went for what he went for, and even Trae Young went for more. So, fresh start. The Blazers are very guard heavy now. Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, who'll be back, Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharp, Ja Morant, they got some guards. But if you're telling me that the Memphis Grizzlies are in a new era, they get a couple of, get a crack to see what Chris Murray's got, and Jeremy Grant's just, potentially a good vet. But yeah, it's just get him out of the locker room. So it's, addition via subtraction. It does make me think that the Portland Trailblazers are all in on, say, a Jaylen Brown trade, because, for a lot of reasons, but if you're thinking about it, they got that many guards, and a package around Jaylen Brown would kind of look like Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharp. There need to be something else to make the money now that Jeremy Grant's gone. But yeah, there'd be, even Rob Williams, who just got re-signed. But yeah, they've got that option with their picks. Maybe that's what they're doing, is they don't mind getting another guard because they're about to dump two or three of them. So who knows? That's just me speculating, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Blazers are just taking on a chance on Morant and his upside, and having other plans to thin out the guard rotation as we move along. Sacramento Kings sent Devin Carter and a future second round pick to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks have so far picked up Aaron Wiggins and Devin Carter, two younger players with upside, and they didn't really have to give up anything for it. They gave two picks to the OKC Thunder. One of those second round picks was, I think, top 58 protected, so garbage. And then this one, they gained a second round pick. So take a chance, see what Devin Carter's got. He's going into his third year. Got Aaron Wiggins. You now no longer need to sign Kuminga to a huge deal. I think Atlanta's had an amazing start to this offseason. LeBron James definitely says he's departing the Lakers. Draymond Green turned down his player option, so watch out for LeBron James going to Cleveland or Golden State. And shit, will it be fun if the Expendables comes to life and you get Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Anthony Davis or Jimmy Butler and LeBron James all on the same team. I think that'll be so fun. But yeah, LeBron James put a statement out basically saying he's done with the Lakers. So his $60 million cap hold against the Lakers will come off at some point, and the Lakers will actually be a free agency team again. Right now they are bent over a barrel and have no room. So I'm sure I've missed some trades in there, but that's what I can see so far. We'll go to the free agents because sorry. I missed one. Kawhi Leonard Idiot. Had I missed that? Kawhi Leonard goes to the Raptors for Ingram, Grady Dick, 2 firsts, a swap, and a couple of seconds. That's crazy. Kawhi goes back to Toronto where he won a championship in the only year he was there. That's huge. Breaking down this deal is... there's been all sorts of grades put on this one. I mean, look, I think Brandon Ingram's another terrific regular season player, but horrific. Just the worst postseason player. Always injured. Kind of a bit of a selfish, mid-range scorer, needs the ball, not really off-ball anything, not great defense. I'm like, no. So I think for the Raptors who signed Ingram to a terrible contract a couple of years ago, we're never really playing Grady Dick. He's extension eligible. To get rid of Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick and bring in Kawhi Leonard, I mean, this is a great deal. I know Kawhi's 35 and you probably regret paying him by his last couple of years, but at least you've got the high upside of, this guy performs in the playoffs. We saw how good Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett were. Brandon Ingram didn't play really. Grady Dick didn't play. So you think of how good they are, and then you're going to add in Kawhi Leonard to that while keeping Colin Murray-Boyles and Jacoby Walter. Far out. The Raptors look pretty damn good heading into the next season. They, on paper at least, health-wise, look like they could compete with the Knicks, the Cavs, the Celtics. I'm not going to say the Heat because the Heat have 4 players right now, but I think it's an amazing deal for Toronto. You get a few assets as the Clippers, and you get to potentially compete for the playoffs because, as I said, Ingram is a good regular season player, but he's got $40 million left and then I think a player option. So that's a lot of money for a guy that you can't trust. The 2 first-round picks are 2031 and 2033, so in the future, Kawhi probably won't be there, so that's the shot that the Clippers are taking on. The pick swap's 2027, that probably won't come to fruition. I think Toronto will be better than the Clippers, therefore they'll have a worse draft order. So that swap's probably null and void. And then 2 second-round picks, 2030, 2033. So I would say A+ for the Raptors. I mean, getting off Ingram's money and turning him into Kawhi Leonard, amazing value. One of the first-round picks is honestly probably worth getting rid of Ingram. So in my mind, they used the pick to get rid of Ingram, used the swap to get rid of Dick. So therefore, it's basically a 2033 first round in the seconds. Do that deal any day of the week. On the page that I'm at now, Toronto get an A-, so we're about the same. Obviously, look, if he's injured, it's not a great deal, but you never do all this, all these trades based off potential injuries. You just take the talent that's available, and Ingram is just chewing into your cap space. You're probably going to have to re-sign him if you kept him. Now he's not your problem. So bye-bye. And he had a huge... Look, he was a pretty efficient scorer in the regular season, but horrific postseason, sorry. But they didn't really have to... Toronto didn't have to give up any of their blue-chip young stars either, so, respect to them. The Clippers, I would say, probably about a B. Seen all sorts of grades already on the Clippers, but I think, look, you get to stay somewhat relevant. You don't really have your own first-round picks anyway for a while, but you get to stay somewhat relevant with a core of, Wagler, Garland, if you keep Mathurin, Niederhausen, now you got Ingram. I'm sure I'm missing players there, but, there's stuff there in LA, in the Clipland that you can look to and be like, look, we're an exciting young core, and we've certainly aged down. We've got we've got some assets now to play around with. So I like that. But yeah, they kind of, this all started by, getting rid of Paul George, then Westbrook, Powell, James Harden, Zubats. They let Chris Paul go, and now Bradley Beal's just declined his player option. So they're definitely getting younger. Respect to the Clippers for their moves. But, I mean, that's huge. Kawhi Leonard, Toronto, that's going to bring back some nostalgia for sure. If we go to free agents, Norman Powell still unsigned. Miami Heat's trying to move off of Nikola Jovic. There was just, I know it's the old system, but there was just no need to pay that guy $16 million a year for unproven nothingness. And now you're paying, a premium to get rid of him to keep Norman Powell, which just should never have been positioned to be. Jovic should have been signed to about an $8 million a year contract. So, poor money management there, and the Heat don't do that too often, but often enough where it's annoying. So we need to move him to get the money to open up for Norman Powell. Otherwise, our free agency is going to be laughable. Miami signed Simone Fontecchio to a 1-year deal, averaged 8 points and 38% from downtown. Rob Williams, 3 years, $44 million extension with the Portland Trailblazers. As I said, that could be used potentially. Sign and trade for Jaylen Brown. LeBron's gone. Again, hoping for some sort of miracle to the Warriors. Jock Landale, 1 year, $14 million deal to Atlanta. There is a salary floor that each team has to hit, so I dare say there's probably not too many other moves to be made in the offseason, but that $14 million hits the salary floor for Atlanta, but makes it a very movable contract as well to include in any deal without giving up any of their core players. So win-win for both sides of Jock Landale and Atlanta. The Precious Achiuwa, he's re-signed with the Kings, 2 years, $11 million. Who cares? Sorry. I know he used to play for the Heat, but who cares? Usman Jang, 3 years, $17.5 million to go to the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that's, keep taking a chance on Usman. He started showing signs. I think he had a 30-point game towards the end of last season. Like he's got some talent there. Take a chance. $6 million a year is very, very doable. DeAndre Jordan's back on a min with the New Orleans Pelicans. Tim Hardaway has gone to the Miami Heat. Can't see what price he's gone for. 1 year, $6.5 million. So I actually think Tim Hardaway had potentially the best year of his career last year for the Nuggets. Shock playing with Jokic. But it was 13.5 points a game in 26 minutes for the Nuggets, playing 80 games. Finished third and sixth man of the year. He now joins his own father who'd played and has his jersey retired for the Heat. But Jokic, the best playmaker you can have. But I would say that playing with Bam and Giannis are going to get you a lot of wide open shots as well. And Tim Hardaway started a lot of games and did really well for the Nuggets. So I, as a Heat fan, I think people are taking the piss out of this signing. I think it's pretty good value. Coming off a career year, it's 1 year. If it doesn't work out, bye. So Bones Highland goes back to Minnesota. I think I haven't got the terms of it, but he's going to be nice off the bench scorer for Minnesota. Again, they need some size. Free agent 7-footer Brandon Carlson, a 1 year, $2.5 million deal with the Portland Trailblazers. So some of that talent walking out of Oklahoma, and I think again the fact he's got on the Blazers, just giving me a little bit of inkling that the Blazers are putting a few guards and potentially some of their bigs together for a big deal. And if El Cheapo, their owner, signs off on it, they've just signed another backup big man. Kobe Sanders, 4 years, $11 million to return back to the Clippers. I like Sanders, good player. I think being 6'8", pretty fucking good. So I'd rather see him playing some minutes in this young team than say Chris Dunn. I think that's an amazing deal right there for the Clippers. Low chance of that going wrong. Keon Ellis, 2 years, $18 million to the Brooklyn Nets. Bit of a nothing deal. That trade there in the middle of the year for the Cavs to go get DeAndre Hunter 2 years ago, and now salary dumped him to Sacramento last year for Keon Ellis, who apparently had heaps of value in the league, and Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, unfortunately the Cavs, just their assets, it was a good swing, but just didn't work out. Now it's just been made worse by the fact that they've lost Ellis, so they basically traded Hunter for Schroeder. So good luck in Brooklyn. Though adds, he's still trying to prove himself, but he is at least a chance to be a bit of a vet in that locker room for a bunch of guards. Luke Kennard moves on from the Lakers, 2 years, $13 million to the Suns. I mean, the Lakers keep losing players to the Suns. It was Jordan Goodwin, now Luke Kennard. I'd say Luke Kennard had a great year. His biggest thing is going to be, can the coaching staff, Jordan Ott, use him like JJ Redick used him? Because as I think they said, that once you're kind of a role-playing shooter like Redick was, like you kind of figure out how to use these other players, and Luke Kennard benefited so much from it. So are they going to use him like that, or are they going to go back to his old ways of just standing in the corner? Because if he's doing that, that's a bad deal. So you've got to have him actually doing, the things he's good at and putting him in positions to succeed. There's no Grayson Allen and no Royce O'Neal now, and that opens up a bit more playing time for him, of course. I think if you had your way, though, I'd say, look, between Colin Gillespie, Luke Kennard, Malawak off the bench, like there's a bit of a lineup coming off that bench now for Phoenix that you could say is actually reliable and will actually provide some different looks. You got Dylan Brooks and Jordan Goodwin that are just dogs defensively but can shoot it, and then you got real snipers with Booker, Kennard, Gillespie. There's enough there. Look, I don't think Jalen Green's a sniper, so that's why I'm forgetting and not mentioning him. Dean Wade, 4 years, $39 million to go to the Philadelphia 76ers. They haven't so far re-signed Quentin Grimes or Kelly Oubre Jr., so this is a bit of a uptick in size and floor spacing. Quentin Grimes, good shooter. Kelly Oubre's hit and miss. He's a bit like Miles Bridges. Super athletic, not a great shooter, not consistent at least. Dean Wade didn't have the greatest playoffs, but you can see for less than $10 million a year, he could definitely contribute and play. And for the Sixers, you got LeBaron file on now, but you've got Maxey, Edgecombe. I don't think Wade will start, but it's still a better option than Dom Barlow. You got PG if he's playing. You got Embiid. You've got stuff there. So the Sixers, that's a smart move. I like that for them. We're still waiting for some other free agency things to pop in, but so far there's been some really good moves. The Lamelo Ball one outside of the Giannis trade has definitely been my favourite. We'll take a quick break. We'll see if there's any other news to pop up, and if not, we'll wrap up the show then. So, jumping straight back in, did miss some deals. Yusuf Nurkic goes back to the Jazz, 2 years, $22 million. This has been given a B grade. I would give this a solid D. It's no pun intended. That is disgusting. Not my kind of player. Yeah, shooting the three a little bit better. Gives them some insurance if Kessler Walker moves on, but that's such an overpay. Didn't love it. Who the fuck was going to take him? Anyway, the Jazz have decided to do that. So, anyway, that's a stupid deal. They have so much size in Utah, though, that if I'm the Spurs, I'm like, holy moly, that's a bit of size to now get through. So, Kristaps Porzingis goes back to the Warriors, 2 years, $40 million. That's been given a B-. I would give that an A-. Floor spacing big. Yeah, he doesn't play all that often, but when he plays, you could see in that playing game this year, makes a huge difference. So, he only played 32 games combined for Atlanta and the Warriors last year, but he's, again, that playing game, he played so well, and that's what helped him beat the Clippers, and was the only other guy on the floor outside of Steph Curry that actually looked threatening. So, if he's there and they bring in, with the money, a LeBron James and trade for an Anthony Davis, can you imagine a lineup of Steph Curry, LeBron James, Draymond Green, AD, and Kristaps? Yes, there's not a lot of spacing because Draymond's inconsistent, AD just doesn't want to shoot threes, and LeBron's hit and miss, but Kristaps is a laser, and Steph Curry is a laser. So when you've got two really A++ shooters on the team surrounded by other players that are great playmakers and defenders, I think it's a great deal. 2 years, 40 mils, super fair. Got to wait for Moses Moody. He's not back until about March after tearing his left patella tendon. You've still got Pods on the team at the moment, but there's not a lot else on this team that you trust. They've just signed Horford, 2 years, 14 mil. But yeah, they're going to need some younger players to take a chance on. But yeah, I like that a lot more than the grade suggests. Julian Champagny back with the Spurs, 3 years, $45 million. Amazing season. 38% on threes, 40% in playoffs. Declined his $3 million option this year to turn it into 3 years, 45 mil. I think that's how negotiating should go, is saying to a player, if you accept the 3 mil, we'll give you more later. Or if you want a huge pay rise this season, you'll get a little less in the back end, but you get way more this season. So it's a bit like what Larry Markkinen did, going from like 18 mil to 42 mil. You extend off that number, but as a team, you get a bit of a reward for it. So I think Champagny could have gone for a bit more in the open market, but if you're going to be upgrading him $12 million in this first year, I think it's fair that both sides come to that conclusion. So 3 years isn't, he's not locked in like for 5 years or anything like that at this, number. He's got the chance to improve off that, but it's a win-win deal for both sides, I think. So yeah, A+ there. This one gets slaughtered. Kevin Huerter, 3 years, $27 million, back to the Pistons. What the fuck are you doing if you're Detroit? Like, JB Bickerstaff didn't even want to play Huerter in the playoffs, and you had no shooting. Like, who the hell was competing for him? Like, if there was a bunch of teams fighting for him, but I understand why you had to overpay, but no one, apart from the Heat. I thought he was going to be a minimum guy. So well done to his agents. But yeah, he was 30% 3-point shooter in Detroit. Like, okay, no, overpay, and Detroit might be having one of the worst off seasons so far that the world's ever seen. Isaiah Stewart gone during extension talks, not going well. Huerter's been overpaid. They've taken Isaiah Joe, which is a good move, but really questions why you've got Huerter then. Anyway, it might all look great once he's had the full off season and preseason to actually assimilate to the team instead of coming in halfway through. But so far, that's a D grade for me. That's a pretty average bit of negotiating. Landry Shamet, 4 years, $24 million, had an amazing playoffs. I think it's a dead fair deal. $6 million a year for a proven player now. Awesome. And if you're the Knicks, you're like, well, it's good value, but it's a very tradable contract as well. So, been given a B+. I'd give it an A. It's not like he was going for 4 years, 40 mil, 4 years, 50 mil. Like, this is a pretty good deal for a guy that actually contributed to your championship run. Andrew Wiggins extends off his current $30 million option. So, doesn't give us any flexibility this year, but is only going for 16 to 17 mil the years after. So I'd say it's been given a C grade. I'd say about the same, only because it didn't give the Heat any flexibility this year. It gives plenty of flexibility and tradability in the next coming years. So good deal there. Good to have him back. And if we lost him and Norm Powell, we would have literally trash. De'Aaron Sharp going back to the Nets, 2 years, $20 million. He's a great backup center, but not great. He's a good backup center. I don't know. I don't love him. He's not even playing 20 minutes a game on average. So, I mean, Nick Claxton is gone. That's the thing. So at least he might have more opportunity. So I think it's a bit of a buy low deal for the Nets. They got to hit the salary floor. You can take a chance on him. It's only 2 years. If he gets better, he gets a pay rise. If he doesn't, the contract's gone. So $10 million a year. Look, that's a win for Sharp as well. If he expects more, heads in the clouds, my man. So A+ deal there. And look, we're starting to... Here it is. Isaiah Hartenstein, 3 years, $75 million. So I think declined his player option and worked off that. So I think his player option was 30, and now it's an average of 25 a year. So I think he's flat rating as well. So it's just 25. So it doesn't increase. great deal. He gets more money. The Thunder keep their big man. He's tradable, but he's also becomes more valuable every season as the money doesn't change, but the cap gets bigger. So great deal and worked pretty well against, there it is. It was a $28.5 million option. So it's a 3.5 year drop, but when you're in the tax, that works out to be like 15, 20 mil, something like that. So it's a huge saving for them. And he can be a huge mentor as well for Ademara. Jose Alvarado to the Knicks, or back to the Knicks, 3 years, $14 million. Played again, big minutes in the playoffs and the finals. I'd say it's a bit of a B plus deal. It's, about $4.5 million a year. It's good. It's, it's an A minus. It's not too much money, for a guy that, if you play in the finals, that's amazing. It means other teams that you're competing against don't get him as well. The Heat don't snap him up. The Celtics don't snap him up. The Cavs don't. Those teams that you're competing against don't get his services. So, pretty good deal. Mark Williams extends 3 years, $38 million with the Suns. I actually thought he was going to go for about 4 years, $80 million. So I think this is a huge win for the Suns. He's been injured a lot, so I think this is a pretty huge deal for the Suns. Mark gets his money. If he plays more, then it's going to be a great deal. If he doesn't, it's just your dead average one. So B overall. Kobe White deal, 3 years, $74 million. We're starting to... the Austin Reeves deal, we didn't talk about this. Austin Reeves apparently got offered 4 years, $150 million. Other teams are saying, that's all it's going to be. We can pay that. So the Lakers said, screw it. 4 years, $185 million, which took him from $30 million a year to 45, 46. Amazing for him. Another great bit of agency from him. But LeBron is out. Reeves is now getting that max contract slot. So it'll be interesting to see what the Lakers do with all that moving forward. Other than that, I think... Dosunmu, I think we talked about 5 years, 112. But there's going to be a lot more going on. We're only, I think, day 1.5 of free agency. So a lot's changed. My favourite deal is, definitely been the Lamelo Ball one. Would love to see LeBron go to Golden State, team up with Steph. If they keep Jimmy Butler, wait for him to come back. If they don't, AD and Kristaps on the front line. Again, if they're both not injured, it just looks like good luck scoring. AD can be close to the basket while Porzingis is out. Having Draymond and AD on the floor would be the only issue with that one. So let us know what you think about all these trades. Which one's your favourite? Which one you think has been unfairly graded or fairly? I know it's not Monday, but we'll do a quick trade machine. If the Heat cannot get off Nikola Jovic, done a bit of a lose-lose deal here. We'll trade him to the Bulls. Bulls get Jovic. He's got 4 years, $64 million. And the Heat get Patty Williams from the Bulls. He's got 3 years, $54 million. So you're paying a little bit more, but it's 1 year less, and you take a chance on a guy that was the 4th overall pick. And maybe a new scenario out of Chicago gets him fired up. So lose-lose for both teams. Bulls get less money on the books, but for longer. The Heat get more money, but shorter. And Patty Williams can at least shoot the ball. So I think that's a bit of a lose-lose, but hey, both teams take a chance on youth, and the Heat, as I said, get a little bit less long-term money. So let us know what you think of that. Trade number 1. Second trade, big one. Trying to steal, not the obvious ones. So no Portland Trailblazers trades. But Pelicans get Jaylen Brown. Celtics get Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Sadiq Bey, and 2 future firsts, one in 2028 and one in 2032. So the 2028 one's probably going to be, like Jaylen Brown, Dejounte Murray, Zion Williamson, Derek Queen, Jeremiah Fears. They've got some talent there. Yes, you're giving them a lot, but Jaylen Brown just finished 6th in MVP voting, and I think Dejounte Murray is now slept on. So, if you can get a healthy year of Zion again and Dejounte Murray, along with Jaylen Brown, and seeing these rookies now in their second years, you can see the Pelicans pushing for the play-in, if not higher. Because we said the Celtics are going to be trash and they finished second. So Jaylen Brown's really huge floor raiser. He's never really had a major injury. And so, yes, you got to pay for it if you're the Pelicans, but where the fuck are you going if you're not doing a trade like this? Like, you're shit anyway. Like, you might as well just try and pay it and get some players. And so if he makes you better, that 2028 pick's probably going to be, not in the lotto. It's that 2032 pick you might want to look out for. They're saying Trey Murphy they want 4 first-round picks for. You got to give up something to get something. You get off Sadiq Bey's money, you get off Herb Jones's money, and I think for the Celtics you do this deal because you get a few assets. You get Trey Murphy, but Herb Jones and Sadiq Bey around Tatum. That's some length, that's some shooting, that's some defense. On paper, I mean, Herb Jones has been injured a lot, so as the Sadiq Bey coming off ACL. So, I'm not sure if that's too biased either way, but if I was the Celtics and the Pelicans, I think that's a win-win deal. You got to give something to get something. And 6 in MVP for Jaylen Brown, giving up Trey Murphy, Herb, Sadiq, and 2 firsts. I think it's fairly, that's if the Celtics are asking for 4 first-round picks and a young player, that kind of hits a different way. So it does deplete New Orleans' depth, but again, they're going nowhere anyway. You might as well take a crack at something. So let us know what you think of those 2 trades and all the off-season moves. And oh my God, it's so exciting. I just love it so much. It's off-season. This is, apart from the finals, this is the best time of the year. So plenty of moves to be made. We'll catch up with you as they go along. But right now, it's that's our little catch up. I thought it was going to be here for 20 minutes. We've been here for 42. So give us a like, a subscribe, a follow. All this support means the world. I love just talking basketball and cricket. So if you don't mind listening or you want to chat as well, hey, get involved. Let's hook up on a little podcast. So appreciate that. We'll catch you up once more off season has hit, definitely before Summer League. Until then.